Welcome, Tiny Hands, Big Dreams, here with a controversial conversation. So, let me ask you a question. Are you living your dream right now? Are you currently in the place that you dreamed you'd want to be? Why not? What are you waiting for? Because a lot of people are waiting and making what I call excuses as to why. And I don't think you should. And we're going to have a controversial conversation about
Waiting.
waiting. Um, Yeah. So let's talk about it. So there's a broad range of subjects we're going to talk about here. Homesteading is one. When should you do it? Now?
No,
No,
you should do all of it now.
just all of it now. But we see the I'll grow my own food when I have to.
Or even in a non-homesteading.
Sure.
Um,
I'll wait until I get to
yeah.
this other property.
I want
thing.
to, or I want to go travel, but I'm going to wait until XYZ happens.
Yeah.
Or
So
I'll buy a house when I am whatever.
when it's not like a super challenge, strained thing, something. And it doesn't.
There's always reasons.
There's reasons.
There's always reasons or excuses, whatever you want to call them. There's always something that keeps you from doing the thing that you want to do.
So everybody that's getting younger, raise their hand. Oh, that's
no.
right. Nobody is. And then so we see a lot of time like, oh, this. Well, then the kids are gonna move back. Oh, then I'll retire. Well, then I just want to get this. I'm just gonna do some other stuff, and then well, now I have this health thing. I'll wait for that to resolve. Well, now I have two other health things.
Because you're getting older.
You're getting
and
older.
You are also probably not in an ideal environment. If you are not doing what you want to do, you're not as happy. And happiness is directly related to health. Like it just is. If you're an unhappy, miserable
your
person...
Your mental state and what you eat are probably the biggest.
Yeah. So if you're an unhappy person, not fulfilling your dreams, not doing what you want to do, not living where you want to live, you are not going to be as healthy either.
No.
It's just regardless of what that end goal is.
You're literally cheating yourself out of life.
Yeah.
There was a time when I wanted to sail around the world, and I spent years researching and preparing for that. I got this close. That's a funny story. But there's one thing when you start buying all the books about sailing, and there's a good many of them. A lot of the books say the same thing, and they say it right up front. Go now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait. Don't wait for the thing and the something and this, the job, the kids. Well, I gotta get this promotion. I'll save up this money. Well, I get this bigger boat. Go now. Figure the rest out along the way. Because if you don't, you probably won't.
And it's true.
It is true. And they know it. They're living it. That's literally the people that wrote it.
Yeah.
But it applies in a lot of different...
It does. I mean, take us, for example. And we've talked about our crazy, winding path to get to where we are.
We've talked this much about it.
Oh, man. But when we look at it, there were 1,000 reasons why we shouldn't do this, which was moving to Ecuador, which was like this giant undertaking.
Sure.
There were so many roadblocks, so many reasons why we shouldn't do it. And even once we got here, there were roadblocks to the dream that we had, and then
it seemed
we had a million reasons to leave.
Insurmountable that this was even like a possibility that we could do without, being like crazy wealthy or something.
And every step of the way, it wasn't easy. Nothing was handed to us. Every single step was basically a reason why we couldn't do it.
Yep.
We could have used any of those reasons as an excuse to postpone or not.
Yeah.
And did we come with as much money as would have been nice? No. Was everything neat and tidy? No. We could have stayed in Tennessee longer. We could have probably gotten more money for our house.
Oh, we would have.
But if we didn't do it, we wouldn't have done it.
That's true.
The longer we stayed, the harder it was to leave.
It is true.
And that's, I think, true for everyone. Is if you get comfortable in your even discomfort. You're just like, well, it's here. It's familiar.
It is familiar. You are stuck with the familiar, and even if it's not right,
great.
not great, not thing, it's at least familiar, and versus the unknown.
I mean, following whatever your dream is going to be unfamiliar.
Yep.
That's just what it is.
And some degree of terrifying.
And some degree of difficult with roadblocks and issues and things. Lists are long of roadblocks that we encountered.
But do it now. So I've been getting calls from people lately, and it basically starts out like, "Hey, we haven't talked in a long time." I'm like, "Yeah, how you doing?" "I'm great." "Hey, how do I go off grid?"
Well, that's something that I heard on a podcast once, and it just kind of shut me down. I was like, wait a minute.
Backstory: there was crazy, massive power outages daily everywhere because of a drought. You know that thing when rain doesn't fall for the hydroelectric plants. That's what causes that.
Yeah. I heard on a podcast a while back from some homesteaders that they weren't going to be off grid. They were going to go off grid when they needed to.
Yep.
And I just stopped and I was like, so I don't think that that's how that works.
It's not.
The amount of I know just from the outside, because I'm really not part of that. That's your forte. But I know that is not an easy thing. I know that it's not a quick thing. I know it's not a cheap thing.
It takes time to set the systems up, to dial them in, to get them tuned. Even if you bought, you just blew money and you got like the crazy thing and then you set it all up.
But you also have to know how.
You have to know how, which takes a little bit of time and care and things. And okay, so there's that time. But then the when I need to argument fails, and it fails real hard because guess what? When you need to,
everybody else does.
So did everybody else. So the people that I know that call me saying I want to go off grid, and I'm like, look, like you've got to find this part, these things, that. These are difficult to get. There's lead times. There's something like at the very best you are weeks away from having power.
Now this is in Ecuador.
This is in Ecuador.
But we're having a country-specific power problem.
Sure.
Because it relies on hydro mostly, and there has not been rain. There's rain here. There's not rain where the hydro plants are. So.
Yeah, rain moves around.
Imagine that. Weather is different in different places. So yes, that's specific to here, but wherever you are, that suddenly you need to be off grid. Everyone, at least in the general surrounding area, is going to also need to be off grid.
So basically, I talked him through it. Like, okay, like we have to do a survey on how much power you need on things to size, your array, your something. You got to get this kind of battery pack. Okay, well, all this stuff is out of stock. Oh, so really, if you just need emergency power, you probably just need a generator, which is, it's noisy, it consumes fuel, but honestly, it's the cheapest, easiest answer. It's fast. So they started looking around. They're like, they're mostly all gone. So I started looking where we are because there's more of the equipment here and there's less
less demand.
Less demand. And mostly all gone. There was a couple left, and I sent them some pictures and some links. But guess what? Everybody else had the same idea. Like, I need to take care of this, and I need to do it right now. When it's an emergency, prices have gone up, scarcity has happened, stand in line. You're lucky if you get anything. Yeah. The time was not now. So there's, I think it's in the financial world, they have a phrase. There's three kinds of money. There's the smart money. Say there's the thing that something's going to go down. Let's see, who's the child of the week? We'll call Boeing the latest one. So the smart money got out of Boeing a while back when they saw, looking deeper into it, what's going on at Boeing. Then there's, the stock price is starting to drop. Okay. Then there's the scared money, and it's already dropping, and they're already losing some of their investment. So the scared money starts to pull their money out of the stock. And then something else happens, some other event, another piece falls off an airplane, which is at least twice a week now. And the stock just starts to tank, and they go, I'm losing my life savings. And they pull their money out. They take a huge loss. That's the panic money. Mm-hmm. So are you part of the smart, the scared, or the panic?
Don't be the panic.
We look at Canada. I just saw like in the rumor mill of Canada's looking at this crazy exit tax. They just simply leave the country permanently. There was a city township thing, something that you now have to have permission to come and go from the municipality. Writing's on the wall there.
Yep.
Get out now.
Yep.
Later, it's going to be harder. After that, it may be impossible.
And there will be excuses why you
well,
can't.
But I can't. Well, it's just too hard now. It's just this. Okay.
But then you're making your choice.
You're making your choice. It's a choose your own adventure life. You get what you get.
But I think there's a lot of, I don't know, advice going around of waiting, of taking your time. And a lot of it comes from, well, don't act out of fear, so it should just like take your time on things. Now, I agree with not acting out of fear. I don't think acting out of fear is typically a way to make good decisions.
Running away versus running to are very different things.
But if you wait too long, you have to run away.
And you're going to then make sacrifices.
Yes, and you're going to make poor decisions because you are panicking. But the idea of always having to take your time on things, I guess that's just not...
Is it smart sometimes? Sure. Is it?
It can be.
Is it going to cause you to lose out on other things? Yeah.
Now, we were told when our plans changed in Ecuador, our plans dramatically changed. And we were sort of panicking, trying to find a property because we were paying way too much for a rental house. We were just losing money. We weren't living our dream.
Right.
Like, we came to Ecuador for a certain dream life, and we were very much not living it. Very much not living it. So we were, I wouldn't say it was out of fear, but we were very driven, perhaps, to find a property.
Yeah.
And we were told that we shouldn't. We should just wait and take our time.
Oh,
and
just go and live somewhere for a year.
I'm like, we came here to do a thing.
Yeah.
And we can't just wander around for another year, because that puts us a year behind where we wanted to be, or 2 years behind where we wanted to be, with being self-sufficient, with being in a better position in case things went sideways, with simply living the way we want to live, with better health, with all of this.
True.
So I wouldn't say we were in the panicked phase. Nothing was really panicking us. But there was definitely... It was not a slow process. We weren't like, well, we'll look at all the different properties and we'll spend another year looking. No, this was the first property that fit the bill, and that was what we did.
Well, it was pretty nice, and we liked it.
Yes.
We looked at a lot of properties, and they were hard nose of just inaccessible things.
This was really our first possible yes.
It's pretty good.
It was really our first
it's way
possible.
Out. It does this, that, go through all the boxes, and we're like, is it perfect? No.
Now we could, and we talked about, I remember this, we could have waited. We could have just sat around in the rental house and driven around looking at more properties that you can get to, and we might have found something that did fit more of what we wanted. That it was more perfect or something.
That would have been another year of breathing really polluted city air.
Not eating food that we grew, being farther behind on everything. Which
there's health implications.
Losing more money.
It's a year of life and more money.
So we could have waited. We could have sat around, but we didn't. I don't know. That's just that. I don't know the point of that. There's different avenues of how to do things.
Well, like what Holmes said, you find the perfect homestead. You should not do anything for a year.
You shouldn't put up fences for a year. You shouldn't build for a year.
Look, I get it. You have to we have water that's here and the sun does this and that. I get that,
ideally.
You can also put in your time and effort and try to figure that out up front.
And will you have to redo some things like moving a garden bed? Yes.
But 90% of it's going to be fine.
And you're going to be further ahead, even if you have to backtrack on some things. You're going to be further ahead than if you had sat around for a year.
If you start building and improving your soil, which is a 2 to 3 year event.
You're also going to be happier. The sitting around and waiting doesn't make people happy or healthy. It's just not good. The doing, the action, the moving towards what you want.
Achieving your goal, working every day. Yes. Every time you do something, you're like, that's now permanent for us and our family. Like, we have added something new to our farm or thing. It's really rewarding in a deep sense.
Yeah. Then that leads you to then want to do more and more and more and just be healthier. I think that health is the driving force for most people behind whatever they are doing in life. You want to be a healthier, happier person.
It should be.
It should be, and if it's not, I don't know what you're doing.
It is a good motivation.
But if you want to be a healthier and happier person, then sitting around and waiting is never going to accomplish that.
Yeah. And you lose out on experiences gained, and even if the time you did and you had to redo things, okay, you have gained a ton of actual like hands on the ground experience.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many people buy survival seeds, and I still see ads for those, and I just want to pay for ads that run above those ads that say, if you follow this and you buy these, you're dumb. Please let me tell you why. Because the entire concept is retarded.
Silly. Yeah.
You'll die waiting for a garden to grow that you've never done, you don't know how to do when you're out of food. Oh, I'm going to wait until we're out of food to just eat your seeds. I mean, roast them, have some salt.
It's true.
Move on.
It's true. And that's part of the not waiting for every little thing. Like, okay, so we once heard from someone, who shall remain nameless, that, we'll just be self-sufficient.
When we need to.
Just be. I'm like, do you understand how long that
you
takes?
Don't. And by saying that, you show you have a complete and total lack of understanding of what that entails. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to gain the knowledge to do it.
We are having plans, equipment, and knowledge. We are a year and a half in, and we're not there. We're pretty far from there in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And we're doing it when, say, society hasn't collapsed. And we can still go and buy things and use that as a crutch to get us there.
Yes, and if you wait until you need to be, society has collapsed in some way, and then you're going to be even worse off.
So look around. Look at society. See what's going on. See the things, the violence, the stuff, the interruptions, sometimes just the banking network goes down and everybody's cards don't work. And while they tell you that that's super rare, it doesn't happen. It does happen.
It does, yeah.
And then everything shuts down and you're like, you don't even have some cash on you. And the grocery store won't even sell you stuff because their register's down. And you're now relying on other people to maybe fix a thing.
I mean, we've seen in the last few years the supplies of things just sort of go away.
Occasionally a bridge gets knocked down by a ship or a something or this or a port gets taken over by protesters and there's this massive delay.
Yeah.
The time to do it is when you don't have to do it.
Yep.
Waiting for I'll do it when I have to. You're going to be in that other group that doesn't even maybe survive.
Yeah, I mean that's like large calamity stuff.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about following dreams,
yeah,
I don't think you should wait. I've talked to a lot of people about they're interested in moving to Ecuador, and they're gonna wait, and they're waiting for this to happen, or they're waiting for that to happen. No, that's fine. We had to wait for certain things too.
Sure. We had to we started the plan and worked diligently toward it every hour of every day of every month of every year for a couple years.
4 years.
Was it that long?
Yeah, I think it was 4 years. Okay, so it was
2 or 3.
No, it was 4 years. Yep.
Sometime, but every day we worked diligently toward that.
Yeah. But the excuses, the reasons, I want to do this thing, but.
Write down your butt.
Write down your butt.
My butts.
There's always buts.
What are your butts? No, seriously.
It's true.
But this, but that, but something. And we hear a lot of them the kids, I have family
waiting for the
here.
Kids to get older. I can't move because of the family.
The market's not right to sell the house. I have to do this. I have to do some repairs for things. I got this project at work. Write down your butts. Put them in the comments. I'd actually love to see them. And talk about them. Be honest about it. What are your butts? What's your dreams?
What's your dreams? And are the butts enough to keep you from following the dreams? And why? And I wonder, quite honestly, I wonder how much of it is not real reasons and they are simply excuses because of fear. Honestly, following your dreams is scary.
It is. And that's a good part of it. But there's one big one that is a difficult one to tackle. Your significant other. Huh.
Yeah. The amount of times I hear that, oh, well, I want to go off grid, but my significant other is not interested. How do I convince them? I hate that. And I'm
How do
like,
I convince them?
oh, the stories we could tell of people we know that have convinced their other to,
Look,
no, it doesn't work.
If you got together and things and you're living a certain lifestyle, and one of you wants to switch to a different lifestyle, and the other one wants to stay where they are, go a different way, things.
I don't have an answer to that. It's not.
There's either you give up on your dreams, they give up on their dreams,
or you both give up on your dreams.
or you give up on the idea of staying together.
Yep.
These are all bad.
There's no good answer. I'm sorry.
People change, but
Yeah.
sometimes you just got together and you're like, oh, we're just gonna live here in this apartment thing. We're doing our jobs where everything's great. We're young, and then all of a sudden, like, we're getting.
Yeah.
And then you have kids and things, and you're like, but it gets messy.
It's messy.
But it is your life. You deserve to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you have to look at all the options of, like, I could do this, but that means giving up certain other things. I could stay, and that means giving up certain. But what does that do to you mentally? To just sort of check out of your
dream,
of your life dream.
I see it all the time, and there's no good answer. And then I see a lot of people starting over, as they say, later on in life, because they have realized that their dream is just intrinsic to who they are, and it's important enough that they need to start over.
Yeah, and like homesteading. If someone's like, well, I wanted this, and I want to grow a garden, have animals, and other people are like, you're going to put your hands in dirt. You might have to touch poo from an animal.
Oh,
and they
boy.
just
full no. And not even, because I think that it can work out if there are...
Level of interest, negative.
Well, if there's proper communication. I've seen it work where one person really doesn't care and the other does, but they're supportive of each other and it can work.
True.
But if it is a flat, like, no, I am not going to go live there, that is just that's a hard no. And that's then a very difficult decision. And there's no good advice. You're going to lose out on something there.
You're going to lose out on something.
I guess we're lucky enough that has not occurred.
We, when we got together, had similar leanings, ideas.
We were also not young when we got together. Shut up.
One of us was younger than the other.
But we both knew what we end goal wanted.
We did.
And it was the same. I mean, if you meet in high school, you're probably not going to know what that end goal is. You might get lucky, probably not. So being able to, like, we knew what, not Ecuador, that took a while to figure that one out. But we knew, like, what we wanted in life.
Gosh, I go back to, like, some of our early days. We're going to, like, start a pickle garden and grow mad quantities of pickles and be up till 3 a.m. pickling in jars fun. And made 5 years worth one year.
Great.
And we're just, like, loco about it. She's like, no, don't. I'm not that crazy. This is a really good idea. You'll thank me later.
It was a good idea, too.
It was. They were delicious.
That's like when you came home with the giant frozen whole tuna. And I'm like, what have you done? Like, it was great. But
and we had no way to deal with it. We weren't prepared for it. We didn't know.
No, that could have totally been one of those moments of like, oh well, but we have to be ready first and have to prepare first and a thing, and then maybe we just won't and thing.
We cut it with a bow saw that I kept in my car for emergency trees. That,
in an old dilapidated greenhouse.
And whacked it up and cut it apart. We had tuna steaks and things.
Oh my god.
And then, like, oh my gosh.
We have done crazy things.
And they've been amazing, awesome, wonderful memories.
There could have been 1,000 reasons not to do each one of those things.
Yes.
Like, because it was too much work. Or because we weren't prepared.
That's kind of crazy. Like, let's let's go back to our little comfort bubble, and
Yeah.
like we have led a crazy, interesting life. There's 1,000 stories that we could go on about.
And that came from not typically making excuses.
Not making excuses and getting out of that little comfort bubble.
Yeah.
And just like, no, we're gonna go do it.
We're gonna do the weird thing. Was it terrifying to move to a different country? Yes.
Was it terrifying to butcher your first large animal?
Yes.
Boom! Here's a pig.
Yeah, right.
And I could just see it. She's just like,
oh, what did I sign up for? But you want something, you do it.
If you look at some of our recent videos, like there's beautiful slabs of bacon hanging. There's hams. There's things. There's whole trays of like cured meats. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was it terrifying? Was it out of our comfort zone? Was it a bit of a thing to do it in the back of a trailer park when no one was looking?
Yeah, a little bit. Don't let it stop me though.
Don't let it stop you.
And I think that is probably kind of the key to all of this, is don't let the reasons or the excuses stop you from doing what you want to do. Whether it is going off grid, moving to a different country, or butchering a pig. Like it doesn't matter what size of thing it is.
We were never like an a-hole about any of this to like us or other people.
No.
We're just not gonna let it stop us.
No. I think sometimes we come off as reckless or
some people call us boring. We've been called boring.
I've never called you boring.
I said some people.
But I think sometimes it looks like we're just sort of doing random things without thought.
Yeah, we get a lot of that of like, you don't know what you're doing, you're this, you're that. Oh, you should like.
Okay, so sometimes we don't. Like, to be fair, we don't have experience doing most of this.
Like, I have no idea sometimes about a certain subject, but it needs to be done, and we're going to do it, and we're going to try to do the very best job, and we're going to look at it intelligently.
But we simply don't wait
and find our way
a year. There are people who are like, well, my first year on my homestead, I got 3 chickens. And I'm like, 3 chickens last week. And pigs. What is it? I'm not...
Like, on your timetable, you're going to be dead before you, like... Oh. That was a mosquito. They happen.
It happens. No, yeah. It's true. Like, I don't...
Like, you have this many useful years of your life when it doesn't just hurt to get up in the morning.
No.
Where are you on the old gas gauge now?
Yeah.
Like, do you think you're going to get stronger, better, and like heal faster later on in life?
Well, you're certainly going to do better if you're more self-sufficient and living the dream you want to live.
And you've set everything in your life up for you, the way you like it, the way that is easy for you.
And you're not letting stop you. Or people. Don't let people stop you. Don't let family stop you. How many people
told you that you should settle on a relationship and just not chase your dreams for what you really wanted?
I said that fairy tales don't come true.
How many people?
So many.
All of them? All of them. Wait. How many of them? Everyone. How many of them were wrong?
Well,
all of them.
It's true. No, it is true.
So, when you can fathom the idea that, okay, you may be crazy.
It's fine. I don't know.
Fine. Or perhaps everybody isn't able to give you what is the best advice for your life to be awesome and exceptional and achieve what you want, because now their fears are going to add on to your fears, and you're just putting all those in your backpack.
Yeah.
You're taking all this like extra on, and you will just...
We both got told we were nuts for moving here. Like, why are you doing that? That's silly. Yeah, or are you coming back yet?
No, yeah, like, well, what's your plan when it doesn't work out? Like, yeah, like, when are you coming back? And we're like, we moved.
Like, this was our dream. We accomplished it. We're going to continue.
Things didn't all work out. We continued forward. We came up with new plans.
We also didn't let people's opinions stop us, because I think that is probably more what stops people than they want to admit. What family thinks or what friends think, or...
It's true. Your peer group.
Yeah. I think family is big for a lot of people.
I have broken friends out of that stupor. Um, at different parts of it, and I had one that like was stuck in a really damaging and bad relationship. It was abusive. Wouldn't leave. And I finally just like said like no, I won't allow this. Like this is not making you happy. This is not good for you. I know that you are kind of stuck in this bubble of like comfort. Um,
Yeah.
and then to later on meet the person of your dreams, who they're now going to marry soon in a few months, which never would have happened if they hadn't broken some of their like rules that them and their friends have set up.
Yeah.
They said you can't date this person because it's not right, or it's things, or it's some things, or it's a slightly different like.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no,
this is the person you think you have to be with. Then you need to go and do that.
Yeah.
Screw everybody else.
Yeah.
And they are incredibly, deliriously happy in their beautiful life right now. Because I was all like loco and like pushed them.
You are loco. It's okay. But it's also pushed us. Like they're like, no, we're going to do the thing. We're going to do the thing. We're going to do the thing. Whatever it is, we're going to do it. And we're going to keep going, and we're going to do it. And it doesn't matter what the excuses are. We could make 1,000 excuses sitting here right now.
Yep.
I know a lot of the excuses.
Yep.
I am tired. We are broke.
Those logs are heavy.
It's raining. Lots of excuses.
Yeah.
No.
All the excuses.
No excuses here. Like
and we're building a house with our own bare hands. Our own family is going to build our whole house. And it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're going to love every bit of it because we built it. And we built it just the way we wanted.
And I think that's, if you build the life that you want for yourself,
sure,
you're bound to be happy with that. If you genuinely build your life the way that you want it for yourself, then that's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kid enjoys it too.
He does.
He gets to plant the trees and things that he wants. He's talking about how he's going to build his room, and we're like, you build your own room. You can do it the way you want. And he just, like he's just having a field day with the whole thing. He's growing up, exploring his dreams, being loved, being encouraged, being
healthy. My goodness.
So healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not just, if you are single or childless.
No. Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah. Like, I can't move. Like, I have a small child.
Yeah.
They're portable.
I actually told someone once.
Put them in the backpack.
I know. I told someone once, who's, I have like small kids. I'm like, do it now. Don't wait for them to be teenagers who are set in their ways.
No, there's actually studies on that.
Yes.
So on moving children, it's actually good. I forget the psychology behind it, but it's good to move children a couple of times before a certain age because it teaches them to
be flexible and adapt.
Flexible and to adapt.
Yes.
And they go somewhere else, they make new friends, they do things, and they learn about new people, things like, oh, that's just the way you live. You eat differently. You this. You okay. And they learn to accept multiple ways versus somebody who gets, I only live in this place, I only do this thing, I only know this tiny little bubble, and everything outside of that becomes other keep it away, and then they get sort of stuck there.
Yeah.
But it's before a certain age. It's like before like 12 or something.
He's doing good then. I've lost count of how many times he's moved.
Sailing. If you look at you're sailing around the world with families, and they'll tell you that their kids will, they'll pull up to some random small town beach. The kids will jump off the boat, swim to shore, and they'll be playing with other kids from a different country and a language they don't know before they can even get their little dinghy to shore. Boom. They've made friends, they're things, they're talking, they're communicating. There's studies that show that children raised with responsibilities and with and that kind of movement, especially that came from the sailing, like, oh, you're going to destroy your child, like this and that. They don't have a proper education. They don't go to school. Oh, the indoctrination center.
Yeah.
Those kids, by the numbers, make massively more money and do better than almost anybody else. Raised on a sailboat. and they do really, really well, and they go on to good careers, and they kind of top out.
Yeah.
So don't make that excuse.
No.
Oh, it's for the children.
Well, I actually think that that's why you should
It
follow
is,
your dreams, because
and show your children
that you're following your dreams.
because they're going to learn from you.
Yes.
To follow their dreams.
Even if it's a completely different dream and they choose a completely different life, because they probably will, that's fine.
Yeah.
But to watch parents actually do what they want to do in life, opposed to not.
As opposed to following trends on TikTok and modeling after that, as opposed
Or
to
just being unhappy in life and never following their dreams and making 1,000 excuses.
yeah, or following somebody else's dream
Yep.
of what they're taught in school is the dream of these people, and they're like, well, I'll just sort of glom onto your cause. It's not theirs.
No.
It's not, and they will, and they'll for a while.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams,
Follow your dreams. For you, for your family.
but not tomorrow.
No.
What can you do today?
Yeah.
What can you do today to follow your dream? Start small. Add a thing. Do a thing. Come up with your plan.
And
How are you going to get
actually
it done?
do it.
Not in this length of time.
Shorten it up.
Shorten it.
Figure out a
You
way
want
to
to
shorten
homestead
it
in the
up.
garden? Go tear up a chunk of your lawn. You're like, I don't care who's going to argue with me. That little spot of lawn, I'm just going to go plant some stuff. It's springtime in North America. Use it.
Yep.
This is the time.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that, I believe, is a controversial conversation.
I suppose it is.
So, if you like this, please subscribe, share, talk to your friends about it. Like, have more conversation. We answer all the comments, so if you comment, one of us, usually her, will answer it. She's the better writer. I go off on a wall of text and then misspell things, and she just like sees. She mostly does it. Please take part in it. We'd like to have more of them. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the next one.